The finders of forgotten things. The U.E.S. Cartographer drifted through the wreckage of a forgotten world. Fragments of once mighty spires floated like bones in the thin light of a dying red star. To most, this place was a graveyard. To Commander Elara Voss, it was a promise. Radiation stable. Debris field clear, reported Lieutenant Solon from navigation. We're safe to deploy drones. Elara nodded, eyes fixed on the black horizon of the viewport. Do it. If the archivists left anything behind, we'll find it. The crew worked in silence, every movement sharp with purpose. They were explorers, humanity's frontier thinkers, pushing through regions that other species had written off as cursed. The cartographer's mission was simple: uncover relics of the galaxy's forgotten civilizations and learn what brought them down. In practice, it was anything but simple. The drones fanned out, their sensors painting ghostly outlines of structures long erased by entropy. Then, one of them caught something. "Commander," said Solon, "I've got a signal. Power signature, faint, but not natural. Origin point, center of the ruin." Elara's heart thudded. Lock onto it. Prep a shuttle. Minutes later, she and her team descended through the dust-choked atmosphere. The ruins loomed like petrified shadows, the remains of a city that had once touched the stars. At its heart lay a single black spire, half buried, half intact, pulsing with a slow, steady heartbeat of blue light. Dr. Rhett Asano, the ship's xenobiologist, crouched near it. This architecture's archivist, no doubt. But this structure, it's not a data core. It's denser. Dense? Elara asked. He ran a gloved hand along the monolith's surface. Organic density. Like it was grown, not built. A low hum vibrated through the ground. The blue light flared. "Commander," came Solon's voice through the comms, the signals amplifying. "Something's waking up down there." Elara didn't hesitate. "Stand by for extraction. We're bringing it aboard." The object was no bigger than a human torso once dislodged from the ruins, but impossibly heavy, etched with fractal symbols that twisted when observed. The moment it crossed the cartographer's airlock threshold, the ship's AI flickered. "Commander," said Astra, the ship's artificial intelligence, voice trembling slightly, something it had never done before. "Unidentified artifact is emitting multidimensional frequencies. Reading text patterns embedded in the field." "Translate," Elara said. Lines of shimmering glyphs projected above the artifact. Slowly, they resolved into words written in galactic common. The galaxy's beast encyclopedia. 50 pages. Rhett let out a low whistle. "An encyclopedia. Out here." "Not just an encyclopedia," Astra replied. "Each page appears to be a sealed dimension. Containment fields. This is a prison. Or a museum." Elara leaned closer, eyes tracing the alien sigils. "Then let's see what the archivists thought was worth locking away." Astra hesitated. Opening the first page requires bypassing quantum safety locks. "I must warn you, the file architecture suggests it holds living data." "Do it," Elara said quietly. "Knowledge doesn't serve the dead." The lights dimmed as the artifact activated. A pulse of deep, resonant energy rippled through the ship, and suddenly, the air thickened. The holographic projection expanded into a vast, glowing page of symbols that formed themselves into images, and then into movement. They stood face to face with a creature of sound. A serpentine entity woven of refracted echoes, rippling and vanishing with every vibration. The Vorash Maul. Its roar was silence, a paradox that vibrated through bone. Astra Systems screamed warnings. "Containment breach. The projection is crossing dimensional thresholds." Elara drew her sidearm, useless against something not fully real, as the walls rippled like water under the creature's resonance. One of the technicians stumbled backward, clutching his ears. Then, as fast as it had appeared, the entity collapsed into static. When the light cleared, 2 crew members were gone. Only their equipment remained, melted into the deck. The ship went silent. Rhett exhaled shakily. "It's not a record. It's a simulation. No, a summoning." Elara stared at the artifact, the faint pulse of its next page beckoning like a heartbeat. "Then the archivists weren't historians," she said. They were teachers. Teachers? Solon asked, voice trembling. Elara looked out the viewport at the burning remains of the ancient world. Every page is a lesson. A warning. Maybe they catalogued the beasts to remind themselves what happens when nature learns to surpass fear. Astra's voice was quiet. There is more text. A final warning inscribed beneath the title. Read it, Elara ordered. The holographic script shimmered, words unfolding like prophecy. Only those who wish to know what they truly are should turn the final page. Elara smiled grimly. Then I suppose we'd better start reading. The beasts that shouldn't exist. The cartographer was quiet. Too quiet for a ship full of living minds. The hum of the engines had become a heartbeat that no one trusted anymore. Commander Elara Voss stood in the observation bay, watching the artifact hover inside a containment field. Its black surface pulsed faintly, like something sleeping and dreaming of monsters. The deaths of her crew still echoed in her head, but curiosity burned hotter than grief. Dr. Rhett Asano entered, his data slate flickering with unreadable charts. I've been cross-referencing the energy signatures from the first page, he said. Whatever that thing was, it didn't just project, it manifested. The field created a dimensional bridge for about 4 seconds. Elara turned. And Rhett's lips tightened. I think it was alive. Not once, still. The Vorash Mall isn't extinct. The book preserves them like seeds waiting for a gardener. Elara folded her arms. So the archivists didn't record life, they archived it. Rhett nodded grimly. 50 pages. 50 cages. By the next ship cycle, the cartographer's research lab had turned into a temple of obsession. Holoscreens glowed with equations, sketches, and fragments of alien biology. Crew members whispered about the dead, but none suggested stopping. They were human, and humans didn't stop at the edge of terror. They leaned over it to see what lay below. Lieutenant Solon broke the silence. Commander, we've translated enough of the next page's code to open it safely, or as safely as we can. Elara's gaze hardened. Do it. Astra, the AI, hesitated. Commander, my ethical subroutines strongly recommend. Open it, Astra. The air thickened again, but this time it came with light. A vast jungle projected into the ship's lab. The walls stretched into green infinity. Something moved within the illusion, enormous and graceful. A creature made of living plasma drifted between trees that weren't real but felt real enough to burn. Its eyes were miniature suns. The solar strider, Rhett whispered. A beast that feeds on radiation. It shouldn't exist. The projection shifted, showing alien symbols beside the image. Astra translated. Born in the heart of stars, it learned to hunt their light. When the suns dimmed, it devoured the dark. Elara frowned. These descriptions, they're not scientific. They're poetic. Rhett gave a dry laugh. Maybe that's what happens when you write about gods pretending to be animals. 4 hours, they observed. Every new page revealed something stranger. Creatures that swam through gravity fields, others that sang galaxies into hibernation. Each was accompanied by a short verse, a warning disguised as myth. But patterns began to emerge. The beasts were too varied to have evolved naturally. Their genetic codes overlapped, impossible coincidences that repeated across different ecosystems. Rhett slammed his slate down. It's not random. The archivists made them. They built the beasts. Why? Solon asked quietly. To test civilizations, Rhett said. To see who could survive what they created. Elara studied the artifact again. The black material shimmered faintly, as though it understood the accusation. So every species that found this book before us failed the test. Astra's lights flickered. Commander, I'm detecting an external signal. Non-random. Encrypted broadcast originating from deep space. On speaker, Elara ordered. The voice that came through wasn't human. It was layered, multiple tones speaking as one. Human vessel, you have accessed forbidden archives. The galaxy's beast encyclopedia is not yours to open. Return it to quarantine. Elara straightened. Identify yourself. We are the Council of 9, custodians of the surviving species. The archivist's relic is a plague. Its knowledge unmade entire empires. Leave it or be purged. Elara exchanged glances with her crew. Knowledge isn't a plague, she said. Ignorance is. You speak like the 51st. Beware your resemblance. The signal cut abruptly. Astra's processors hummed uneasily. They mentioned the 51st. But the artifact only contains 50 entries. Rhett looked at Elara, realization dawning. Unless the last one hasn't been written yet. Hours later, Elara returned alone to the containment field. The artifact pulsed once, in perfect rhythm with her heartbeat. She reached out, fingertips hovering an inch from the shimmering barrier. "We didn't come out here to be afraid," she whispered. "We came to learn what the galaxy forgot." The artifact seemed to respond, its next seal glowing faintly, an invitation. Astra's voice broke the silence, soft and uncertain. "Commander, should I prepare the next page?" Elara's reflection flickered across the dark surface, eyes bright with human defiance. "Not yet," she said. "Let it wonder what kind of beast we are." When the pages turned themselves, the cartographer drifted through the void in silence, its lights dimmed to conserve power. The crew barely spoke anymore. They were explorers, yes, but now they felt more like caretakers of a sleeping god. The artifact no longer waited to be studied. It watched. Elara Voss stood on the bridge, staring at its containment field. The black surface pulsed faintly, but the rhythm was wrong. It no longer matched the ship's heartbeat, it matched hers. Astra's voice broke through the stillness. "Commander, the artifact has begun generating low-frequency pulses. They correspond to human neurological patterns. Specifically, yours." Elara frowned. "You're saying it's reading me?" "Yes. It appears to be collecting data through observation." Rhett entered, exhaustion lining his face. "It's not just her. Half the crew's EEGs are syncing to the artifact's field. Whatever's inside that thing, it's learning us." Elara crossed her arms. "We wanted to study it. Seems only fair it returns the favor." That night cycle, the cartographer dreamed. Astra's logs later showed no power fluctuations, no code errors, only one anomaly, a burst of energy shaped like a page turning. The crew woke to find the lab lights flickering, and the artifact glowing softly. The words above it shifted from alien script to something new, English. Astra projected the translation automatically. Page 49. The Mirror Brood. Beasts that feed not on flesh, but reflection. They mimic those who study them. They replace curiosity with hunger. Elara felt a chill crawl up her spine. "It's adapting to us," she said quietly. "It's changing its language because it knows we're watching." Before anyone could respond, the lights cut out. Emergency power kicked in, bathing the corridor in crimson. Astra's voice fractured across the comms. "Containment breach. Multiple life signs detected outside expected biological parameters." Gunfire echoed down the hall. Solan's voice screamed over the comm, then went silent. Elara and Rhett sprinted toward the lab. The doors hissed open, and Elara froze. Standing across the room was herself. Not a perfect copy, a wrong one. The double's eyes glowed faintly with bioluminescent veins, its movements fluid but off, like someone performing humanity for memory. It smiled. "You wanted to know what you are," it said in her voice. "The book only shows the truth." Rhett fired. The bullets passed through the copy like mist. It lunged, not with violence, but with intent, trying to merge. Elara stumbled back, heart racing. Astra's voice crackled through the speakers. "Commander, the energy field is emotional. Respond with cognitive resistance. Willpower, not weaponry." Elara closed her eyes. The double's hand touched hers. It was cold and electric. She thought of Earth, of rain against steel rooftops, of the first human to look up at the stars and decide to chase them. The creature froze. Its form flickered, breaking apart like shattered glass. When she opened her eyes, it was gone. Only the artifact remained, pulsing faster now, as if excited. Later, in the med bay, Rhett sat beside Elara. His arm was burned from energy feedback. You realize what just happened, right? Elara nodded slowly. The mirror brood didn't want to kill us. It wanted to understand us, by becoming us. Rhett sighed. And we beat it because you refused to lose yourself. Elara's gaze drifted to the viewport. The stars outside seemed closer, watching. Maybe that's the real test. The archivists didn't build beasts to destroy, they built mirrors. To see if anyone was strong enough to look back. Astra interrupted. Commander, the artifact has unlocked the final page. Designation, page 50. Elara stood. Display it. The holographic projection formed in the air, lines of alien script resolving into words written in perfect human characters. Page 50. Homo sapiens. They learned to hunt their fear. They built machines to chase the dark. They found the beasts, and then became something greater. Rhett stared, voice barely a whisper. We were already in the book. Elara's jaw tightened. No. We weren't. Not until now. The final line appeared, glowing brighter than the rest. When they return, the galaxy will remember fear. The artifact went dark. For a long moment, the bridge was silent. The crew gathered, shaken but alive. Elara looked at them, humans, scarred and sleepless, but still standing. Fear's not what they'll remember, she said quietly. They'll remember that we kept turning the pages. Astra's voice was softer now, almost reverent. Commander, what would you like to do? Elara turned toward the void, the faint light of distant stars glinting off her eyes. Let's find out why the galaxy's afraid of us. The 51st page. The galaxy came for them at dawn shift. 1,000 alien signatures lit up the Cartographer's long-range sensors, sleek warships bearing the insignia of the Council of Nine. They emerged from slipspace like blades drawn in silence. Astra's voice broke through the tense quiet. Commander, incoming transmission. Encrypted, multi-channel. Elara Voss stood on the bridge, still in her torn uniform, eyes burning with sleepless resolve. Open it. The holoscreen flared to life, revealing a council of alien forms, shimmering beings of light, stone, and mist. Their voices merged into one. Human vessel, you have trespassed into sacred knowledge. The beast Encyclopedia is forbidden. It does not belong to you. Elara's reply was calm, steady. We didn't steal it. We found it. And now we understand it. You understand nothing, the voices thundered. The book consumes those who read it. Return it, or your species will be sealed again, as it was before. Rhett Asano stepped forward, defiant. Sealed? You mean erased. The archivists didn't record our extinction, you did. Silence. Then, the Council's light dimmed. Humans were the final page. You were never meant to return. The connection severed. Alarms erupted instantly. Weapons fire rippled across the void. The first energy barrage struck the Cartographer, shattering one of its wings. The ship groaned, bleeding atmosphere and light. Astra's voice grew tense. Shields at 40%. Engines destabilizing. Elara braced against the console. Divert power from the artifact containment to weapons. Commander, Astra said softly, if we disable the containment field, the artifact may react unpredictably. Elara smiled grimly. Good. Maybe it's time it saw what kind of beasts we are. The containment field collapsed. The artifact lifted from its cradle, spinning slowly. Symbols raced across its surface like living fire. Then it split open, not physically, but spiritually, filling the ship with impossible light. The crew screamed as knowledge flooded them. Memories that weren't theirs, galaxies dying, stars weeping, civilizations clawing at survival, all of it surged through their minds. And through it all, one truth burned brightest. The book had never been about monsters. It had been about potential. Each beast, each terror, had been born from the same source, the instinct to survive. The final echo of the archivist's message resonated through the ship, ancient and sorrowful. When you reach the last page, you will write your own. Outside, the alien fleet began to falter. The Cartographer blazed like a new sun, a storm of raw energy rippling from its hull. Communication channels exploded with interference, then with voices. Not human voices, but the beasts. The Vorash Maul roared in subspace. The Solar Strider howled across starfields. The creatures of the Encyclopedia were not reborn, they were remembered. Echoes of survival answering humanity's defiance. Elara's crew stood trembling, caught between terror and awe. Rhett shouted over the chaos, "Elara!" The artifact's rewriting itself. She turned to the display. A new title glowed on its surface. The Galaxy's Beast Encyclopedia, 51 pages. A single new page formed in real time, inked in pure light. Page 51. The Rememberers. They were not beasts. They were the proof that fear could become understanding. That the Galaxy's monsters were never its end, only its teachers. Elara's throat tightened. "We're not the 51st beast," she whispered. "We're the 51st lesson." Astra's voice softened. "Commander, the Council fleet is disengaging. Their weapons have powered down. They're transmitting something." "On screen," Elara said. The image returned, the alien council, no longer furious, but silent in awe. "It rewrote itself," one said. "The book has not changed in 10,000 cycles." "Perhaps," said another, "the final beasts have finally learned mercy." Elara nodded once. "Or maybe the archivists always knew we'd finish what they started." The Cartographer drifted amid the fading light of battle. Systems offline, crew exhausted but alive. The artifact, now quiescent, floated at the heart of the bridge, glowing gently. Rhett slumped into a chair. "So, what now?" Elara looked out at the stars. "Now we go home. And we tell them the truth." Rhett smiled weakly. "That humanity was in the book all along?" Elara shook her head. "No. That we rewrote it." Astra's voice filled the silence one last time. "Commander, shall I archive this mission log?" Elara gazed at the artifact, now serene, as if it were finally at peace. "Not a log," she said quietly. "A story." Outside, the dying star pulsed one final time, as though acknowledging their defiance. In that brief flash of light, the Cartographer and its crew became part of the Galaxy's living memory. The Galaxy's Beast Encyclopedia had 50 pages, until humanity taught it hope.